Let's be honest, navigating immigration can feel, well, pretty overwhelming, especially when you're trying to bring your child to a new country. But you know what? It really doesn't have to be. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the Subclass 101 Child Visa. Think of this as your clear, warm guide to help you on this incredible journey home. So let's dive right in.
So, here's our game plan. We've split this whole process into 5 straightforward sections. We'll start with the good stuff, what this visa actually gets you. Then we'll walk through eligibility, the application itself, what happens while you're waiting, and finally, we get to the really exciting part, your child's new beginning in Australia.
All right, let's kick things off with the best part, the reason you're here, the outcome. What does this visa actually make possible for a child once they land in Australia?
I mean, just look at this list. The scope of the benefits here is what's truly amazing. This isn't just some temporary pass. No, this is a permanent foundation for a full life. Your child can stay indefinitely, build a career, get access to Australia's public healthcare system, and, down the road, even apply for full Australian citizenship. It's the whole package.
And that's the key phrase right there, permanent visa. It means exactly what it sounds like. It grants the right to live in Australia forever, giving your family a deep, profound sense of security and belonging. This is about putting down roots.
So now that we know what's on offer, let's get into the practical side of things, the essential gates you need to pass through on this journey.
Okay, let's talk numbers. The main application fee starts at $3,235, but, and this is important, keep in mind that this is just the base fee. It doesn't include other potential costs, like mandatory health checks or police certificates, so it's a really good idea to budget for those extra bits and pieces as well.
Now listen up, because for parents of adopted children, this next point is absolutely critical. It all comes down to timing. If the adoption was finalized before you became an Australian citizen or permanent resident, you're in the right place with the 101 visa. But if it happened after you gained your status, you actually need to be looking at the subclass 102. Getting this right from the very beginning is honestly non-negotiable.
And here are a few more fundamental rules to lock in. First, the child has to be physically outside of Australia when you submit the application. This is a strict legal requirement, no wiggle room there. Second, if you're applying for more than one child, each sibling needs their very own application and their own fee. And yes, if your child happens to have their own dependent children, they can be included on the application.
Okay, now for the main event, the application itself. Let's think of this section as our blueprint, the step-by-step guide to putting together a really strong and successful submission.
We're going to walk through the essential things that the Department of Home Affairs is looking for, just to make sure you have everything lined up perfectly from the get-go.
Look, these steps might seem simple, but you'd be surprised how often applications get held up right here. So double-check every single field on the forms, make sure every last required document is attached, and pay the exact visa fee right when you submit. Here's a pro tip for migration experts. Before you even start, create a digital checklist and a folder for all your documents. If you get these 3 things right, you should get an acknowledgement in about a month, just letting you know that it's officially in the system.
Okay, so you've hit submit, take a deep breath. Now comes what can often be the most challenging part of this whole thing, the wait. So let's talk about what you can expect during this time.
This is it. This is, without a doubt, the #1 question on every single applicant's mind. And the answer? Well, it's not exactly a simple one.
The government has a visa processing time guide tool online, and that's going to be your best friend. It shows you the average times for applications they've decided recently. But, and it's a big but, just remember that it's only a guide. It's not a guarantee for your specific case.
See? This is exactly why those earlier steps were so important. The absolute best way you can influence your processing time is to avoid these common roadblocks. Think of it as your pre-submission mission. Triple-check every name and date, use that official document checklist like it's a final exam, and make sure your payment is spot on. Seriously, every time the department has to stop and ask you for missing info, your application gets pushed down the pile. Getting it right the first time is your best strategy, bar.
And then, one day, the wait is over. The visa is granted. This final section is all about that incredible new beginning and the first steps of your child's life in Australia as a brand new permanent resident.
This right here is your first and most important deadline. The grant letter will have what's called a first entry date. This is usually 12 months from the day the visa is granted. Your child has to make their first trip to Australia before this date to officially activate their visa. Don't miss it.
Now, life as a permanent resident comes with responsibilities, mainly to obey all Australian laws and any specific conditions that might be attached to the visa.
And just a quick practical tip, you're not going to get a physical sticker in the passport. The visa is entirely digital now, linked directly to their passport details. Pretty neat, huh?
Now, another cool thing is that this visa comes with a 5-year travel facility. What that means is for the first 5 years, your child can travel in and out of Australia as many times as they want without needing any other permissions. But that leads to the logical next question, right? What happens when that initial 5-year period is up? It's a great question. And luckily, there's a really clear path forward.
To keep traveling internationally after those first 5 years, your child basically has 2 options. They can apply for a resident return visa, or RRV. Think of it as just renewing their travel rights so they can re-enter Australia as a permanent resident. That's the route you take if your child isn't eligible for citizenship yet, or just chooses not to apply. The other option, of course, is to take that final, exciting step and apply to become a full Australian citizen, which comes with an Australian passport.
And just like that, the process is complete. You know, this whole journey is about so much more than just forms and fees. It's about building a future. The paperwork might be done, but for your family, the real adventure is only just getting started.